The day began with Home Minister Amit Shah confirming that the three terrorists killed in Operation Mahadev were all three linked to the Pahalgam terror attack. And the day has ended with Prime Minister Modi's fiery and blistering and in many portions dramatic and explosive Operation Sindoor speech, detailing for the first time what happened when JD Vance called in the middle of Operation Sindoor, making the assertion that Pakistan was brought to its knees, mocking Pakistan for having no option but for its Director General of Military Operations to call India and ask for a halt in hostilities. This on a day when Rahul Gandhi once again pointed fingers at the Modi government, but Modi hit back, saying even at one point in his speech that Pakistan's remote control was controlling the Congress. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo Story. Welcome to the special broadcast where we decode the Operation Sindoor debate that has unfolded in the Lok Sabha on a day when it is now officially confirmed by Home Minister Amit Shah that the three terrorists killed in Operation Mahadev, an anti-terror operation in the Kashmir Valley, were all involved in the Pahalgam terror attack. Rahul Gandhi went head to head with the Modi government, but the Prime Minister, in a long, blistering, feisty, and often dramatic speech, detailed, perhaps for the first time, what happened when American Vice President JD Vance called him in the middle of Operation Sindoor. And at one point in a debate, which also saw Priyanka Gandhi and Rajnath Singh, among other key speakers, at one point the Prime Minister revealed that Pakistan had attacked India with 1,000 missiles and armed drones. But India's air defense was so strong that, to quote him in Hindi, unka asman mein hi chur chur ho gaya. We are now looking at not just the battle between India and Pakistan when it comes to terrorism. We are also looking at narrative wars, and in many ways, Operation Sindoor and the Prime Minister's speech capped a volatile, ferocious debate. We'll be looking at that and also the big news development that the Pahalgam terrorists, at least three of them, have been killed. Let me introduce our guest today on the program as we decode what happened in Parliament. Military veteran, Group Captain Augustine is with us. Welcome, sir. Good to see you. Sugata Srinivasraju, senior author and journalist, is with us. Namaskar and good to see you. Dilip Cherian, political analyst, image guru, is with us. Always a pleasure. It is my great honor to have with us Rajesh Narwal. Mr. Narwal is the father of Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, naval officer who was one of the victims of the Pahalgam terror attack. In fact, the iconic image of this attack was his daughter-in-law Himanshi sitting on the ground with her husband's body besides her. And I really appreciate, Mr. Narwal, you're taking time in the middle of your pain and anguish to talk to us. So, bahut aapka dhanyavad. And also joining us is former General Officer commanding of the 15th Corps, the officer who led the surgical strikes after the Uri terror attacks, General Satish. Thank you so much, everybody. I want to actually start, before I come to the Prime Minister's clip, with Rajesh Narwal, if I have the panel's permission. Rajesh ji, एक बड़ा announcement आज आया है और आपके लिए ये personal है. मैं सबसे पहले वो तस्वीर दिखाना चाहती हूँ that came to be the image of the Pahalgam terror attack, जिसमें आपके बेटे की बॉडी सड़क के किनारे और आपकी बहू उनके साथ बैठी. I mean, it has been the most heartbreaking image. There we have it on the screen. और आज ये official confirmation गृह मंत्री से आती है. The Home Minister confirms that 3 of the terrorists killed are indeed those responsible for Pahalgam terror attack. आपके बेटे को तो कोई वापस नहीं ला सकता, लेकिन आज थोड़ा सा कुछ ये लगा कि चलिए जस्टिस का प्रोसेस शुरू हो गया है.
यस मैम, मेरे राष्ट्र के सभी वासियों को और देशवासियों को और मुझे, मेरे परिवार को और 26 जो वहाँ पर विक्टिम हुए उनके परिवारों को आंशिक रूप से इसको मैं एक श्रद्धांजलि के रूप में कह सकता हूँ, आंशिक रूप से, क्योंकि पूर्णतः रूप से यदि इसको कहें कि रिवेंज या फिर श्रद्धांजलि, वो उस दिन होगी जिस दिन इस टेरर अटैक के पीछे, कोई एक दिन में तो टेरर अटैक की कोई प्लानिंग नहीं हुई होगी, डेफिनेटली इसमें लॉन्ग प्रोसेस रहा होगा. उसमें जो कड़ियां, जितने भी लोग इसमें इंडल्ज रहे हैं, उन सबको यही सजा मिले, तब श्रद्धांजलि होगी.
जी, मैं एक आपसे और सवाल करना चाहती हूँ बिफोर आई कम टू जनरल दुआ। वो ये सवाल है कि ये जो तस्वीर हम देख रहे हैं आपकी, नो पेरेंट शुड गो थ्रू दिस, यू नो द लास्ट रिचुअल्स ऑफ योर सन, अ नेवल ऑफिसर। हाल ही में उसकी शादी हुई थी, कुछ ही दिन पहले, पहलगाम टेरर अटैक से कुछ ही दिन पहले। वो जो तस्वीर है जिसमें हिमांशी उनके साथ बैठी है, वो जो चूड़ा है न्यू ब्राइड्स पहनती हैं, वो भी दिख रहा था। आज आप, on behalf of the family, speaking as a father, speaking as an Indian, but also the father of a military officer, आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे ऑपरेशन सिंदूर, आप ऑपरेशन महादेव, पार्लियामेंट में जो डिबेट अगर आपने फॉलो की हो उसके बारे में?
मैडम, पार्लियामेंट में जो डिबेट हुई वो मैंने फॉलो नहीं की, क्योंकि दिन में मैं भी बिजी था। लेकिन
जी,
एज ए फादर ऑफ डिफेंस ऑफिसर, नेवल ऑफिसर, मैं ये कहूँगा कि जो ऑपरेशन सिंदूर जो किया, हमने जो रिटेलिएट किया आतंकवादी घटना को, और बाद में फिर उसी दिन से हमारी देश के नौजवानों ने और पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेज ने, जे&के पुलिस ने जो मुहिम चलाई कि उनको ट्रैक किया, और अल्टीमेटली महादेव ऑपरेशन, महादेव पीक के नीचे जो डेंस फॉरेस्ट है दाची गांव, उसमें उनको
जी,
ट्रैक किया गया, और उनको उनकी डिजर्विंग, जो वो जिस चीज के लिए डिजर्व करते सजा को, वो उनको दी।
जी। मैं दाद देना चाहती हूँ। आई वांट टू सल्यूट पीपल लाइक यू, द फैमिलीज, द वुमेन हु हैड टू वॉच दिस हैपन टू देयर हस्बैंड्स, टू देयर फादर्स। आप भी वॉरियर ही हैं। जिस तरह की क्वाइट करेज, फोर्टिट्यूड आप सबने दिखाई है, इंडिया सल्यूट्स यू। राजेश जी, हमारे साथ बने रहिए। बिफोर आई कम टू द प्राइम मिनिस्टर स्पीच, जनरल दुआ, Operation Mahadev, we should talk a little bit about. Mahadev, named after an area near Dachigam, intense gunfight takes place in a forested area. The Modi government enters Operation Sindoor with this news that at least 3 of the Lashkar terrorists killed were involved in the Pahalgam terror attack. General Dua, your comments both on Mahadev as well as Prime Minister's speech and the in rest of the debate.
Barkha, first of all, it gives me, as a military professional, as someone who's been in counter-terrorism for 4 decades, it gives me a lot of professional satisfaction to hear this news. When I learned of it that Operation Mahadev has been successful and we've knocked off 3 of the terrorists who participated in the Pahalgam terror attack. For us, just like Narwal ji spoke, nothing can undo what has happened, but it gives some sense of closure. He's here today, and I bow down and salute to him and others like him. But the fact is, not only to him, but to the whole country, to all the citizens, to not only to military professionals, but to all the citizens, I think it gives a sense of closure. This terror attack in Pahalgam was unlike others. There have been several terror attacks which have had larger numbers, also Chhattisgarh, etc. But what has happened here is that people were picked out by religion, and out of them, males were identified and killed. It was a dastardly crime. I mean, it was more than just a terror attack. So I think the whole country would heave a sigh of relief that there is some closure to it. Yes, it has taken more than a couple of months. But then that's the way it happens. Terrorists, I've always said, terrorists have a shelf life. यहाँ नहीं तो वहां मरेगा, आज नहीं तो कल मरेगा. He has a shelf life. But it did take some time because, those forests, the terrain, the intelligence, everything is very difficult to build up. So it did take some time, but eventually we got them. So I think that sense of closure is good for us as citizens, good for me as a professional, and the soldiers who participated. Hats off to them and the intelligence agencies.
So let's open at this point with one of the big debates. Should the ceasefire, or rather the halt in hostilities, because the Prime Minister declared even today from Parliament that Operation Sindoor is still on, should it have taken place? What was America's role in it? Ye jo sawal hai on America's role, this has been the biggest stick that the opposition has tried to deploy against the government. For the first time, the Prime Minister has actually given a detailed account, a very detailed account of what happens when Vice President J.D. Vance calls him. I'm going to play this clip out, come right back to the panel. Janadu, I know you have to leave early, so we'll get a first reaction from you, and then we'll open it up for the rest of the panel. Take a look. This is Modi on what happens, what was America's role precisely in Operation Sindoor.
दुनिया के किसी भी नेता ने भारत के ऑपरेशन रोकने के लिए नहीं कहा। उसी दौरान 9 तारीख को रात को अमेरिका के उपराष्ट्रपति जी ने मुझसे बात करने का प्रयास किया। वो घंटे भर कोशिश कर रहे थे, लेकिन मेरी सेना के साथ मीटिंग चल रही थी, तो मैंने उनका फोन उठा नहीं पाया। बाद में मैंने उनको कॉल बैक किया। मैंने कहा कि आपका फोन था, 3-4 बार आपका फोन आ गया, क्या है? तो अमेरिका के उपराष्ट्रपति जी ने मुझे फोन पे बताया कि पाकिस्तान बहुत बड़ा हमला करने वाला है। ये उन्होंने मुझे बताया। मेरा जो जवाब था, जिनको समझ नहीं आता है उनको तो नहीं आएगा। मेरा जवाब था, अगर पाकिस्तान का ये इरादा है तो उसे बहुत महंगा पड़ेगा। ये मैंने अमेरिका के उपराष्ट्रपति को कहा। अगर पाकिस्तान हमला करेगा तो हम बड़ा हमला कर करके जवाब देंगे। ये मेरा जवाब था। और आगे मेरा एक वाक्य था, मैंने कहा था, हम गोली का जवाब गोले से देंगे। ये 9 तारीख रात की बात है, और 9 रात में और 10 सुबह हमने पाकिस्तान को सैन्य शक्ति को तहस नहस कर दिया था, और यही हमारा जवाब।
So there's the Prime Minister actually making it a point to say that the first time the Vice President expresses a desire to talk to him, VP JD Vance, he's too busy, he's in meetings with the military. He then says, "Kya hua bhai? 3-4 बार आपने phone कर दिया," making a complete light of this claim by Trump, now made more than 2 dozen, almost 2 dozen times, General Dua, that he had a role to play in this. Quick response from you, and then I really have to open it up for the rest of the panel. General Dua.
Barkha, I'll steering clear of the politics of it.
Yeah.
The facts as they have emerged over the past few days, that President Trump has been saying, and like you said, more than 2 dozen times, 26 to be exact, on account, that he had a role to play. I mean, he's been specific in saying. I mean, even in the Cambodia, Thailand issue, he's mentioned this. So we leave that aside. But we should now focus on the Prime Minister's speech. You see, Prime Minister, apart from different statements, I remember External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar has also made a similar statement earlier and things like that. But today, the Prime Minister of the largest democracy in the world has spoken in Parliament. And that's a very responsible statement. And let's not forget, this is a major debate that is taking place. Not only you and I and the whole country is glued to the televisions. The world is watching. Because there has been so much of overload of discussions on Operation Sindoor in every which way over the past couple of months in the world. So everyone is watching. The Prime Minister very categorically said, even says that I could not take his call. I called him back. That means and I was busy with it was very understandable. At that moment, he would be being briefed by the armed forces as to what is happening. It would be a minutes of briefing. So that having been said, the Prime Minister is categorically stating And this is what when he got back to the vice president, the US vice president, Mr. Vance said, well, Pakistan is planning to attack. And then he gives out his response, and that we will respond not only in kind, but we will give them. Yeah. So the point I would like to make, the larger point is, the Prime Minister is making a very categoric statement. It is obviously at odds with what President Trump has been saying, but after all, the Prime Minister is aware of all that is taking place, all that President Trump is saying. Yet he makes a statement in Parliament, no less. It is not a press conference. It's not. He's talking in Parliament, replying.
So, in other words, you feel, General Dua, sorry, I'm interrupting you, that this should be the last word on this subject, as far as India is concerned. Trump will keep talking. You feel this is the last word made from the floor of the House. Is that fair?
The short answer is yes, absolutely. Yeah. It should be the last word. It may not be. The opposition, the politics might take it elsewhere. The think tanks will talk. But the point is, I think, as Indians, we have no option but to listen to our Prime Minister, who is making a responsible statement in the Parliament.
Okay. Let me open this up. Rajesh Narwal, father of Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, has spoken. General Dua has spoken. Let's also come to the narrative wars, also the geopolitical, as I like to say, the geopolitics and the politics. Tehseen Poonawalla, Congress supporter, sometimes critic of the government, not always, is also with us. But let's open this up with Dilip, because you have spent a long time studying narratives. You were not very convinced about India's management of the narrative on the global stage after Operation Sindoor. The Prime Minister made a number of very important statements that, as General Dua said, the world will pay attention to. One, about what happened when J.D. Vance called, right? And he has said this, as General Dua said, from the floor of Parliament. So it's an official Indian response. It's not only a political response. Secondly, he spoke about Pakistan trying to attack India with 1,000 armed missiles and drones. Lastly, he has basically gone for the Congress, accusing Pakistan of wielding a kind of remote control on Congress. We'll come to the politics later, the domestic politics, I mean. Let's talk first about the global narrative wars and Modi, the Prime Minister's response today. Dilip.
Barkha, the global narrative wars are being fought on the floor of Parliament, but the two sides are fighting different aspects of the war. You have the External Affairs Minister and the Prime Minister insisting that only 3 countries supported Pakistan. And the whole point of the opposition's debate has been that no country or not enough countries came out in support of India during Operation Sindoor. Now, you can have both these facts existing simultaneously in the phenomena of multiple cosmoses. But I think the idea is very clear that there has been a narrative setback as far as we are concerned during this operation. Now, we've sent 91 people out after that to explain it. We've sent out all these groups to various capitals. And yet again, everybody who has been on those has also come back with a sense that narrative building by India did not seem as successful as the machine and the muscle we seem to have put into it. That's one. Now, as far as the 1,000 drones plus missiles coming down on India, there has been some reportage in the military domain, but most of it has to do, unfortunately, with China using this to actually smoke out where our anti-drone and anti-missile defenses are. So, it is true that India actually did not suffer from this hailstone of attacks that took place.
Yeah.
And I think the Prime Minister's point on that is valid. We will come to the politics of Pakistan being remote controlling the Congress. But I think for now, this is where the narrative battles are. One, the technology and the hardware side, and the other, the support for India part.
Okay, let's start, so to have some structure in this conversation on what you call a kind of setback, you think, on the global stage. Maybe General Dua didn't agree, we don't know, but we'll ask Rajesh ji and then come to Tehseen, Sugata and Group Captain. Rajesh ji, as a victim, as a victim, as someone who lost your young son, the father of a naval officer, no less, who had got married 4 or 5 days before he was killed. I can't even, get over it when I think about it. And, these are the images from that wedding. They go on their honeymoon, and the next thing we see is Himanshi sitting by the side of Rajesh ji's son in that now iconic, definitive image of the Pahalgam terror attack. आपको लगता है कि ग्लोबल स्टेज पे थोड़ा नैरेटिव सेटबैक हुआ, कि आपको लगता है कि इंडिया ने जोर से और अच्छी तरह से अपनी बात रखी है और दुनिया भी समझ गई है उस बात को, क्योंकि ट्रंप जी तो रोज कुछ कहते हैं?
यस मैडम, जितना मेरी ओपिनियन में मैं समझता हूँ कि इस नैरेटिव को हमारी सरकार ने और जयशंकर प्रसाद जी और आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने इंटरनेशनल वैश्विक की जितनी भी संस्थाएं हैं, ये जैसे एक पटल है, उस पर इस बात को बड़े जोर से रखा, जिसका एक रिजल्ट आपके सामने भी है, हम सब के सामने, कि जो द रेजिस्टेंट फ्रंट है उसके ऊपर उन्होंने सैंक्शन लगाई, उस पर उसको आतंकवादी संगठन घोषित किया, और ये एक पहल है। और ऐसे ही अभी हम आने वाले टाइम में देखेंगे कि इस तरह के जितने भी आतंकवादी संगठन होंगे और इटसेल्फ टीआरएफ भी जो रहेगी, इस पर दूसरे देश भी अपनी सैंक्शंस लगाएंगे और इसको टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन डिक्लेयर करेंगे। तो
ये आपने हमें बहुत अच्छी चीज याद दिलवाई कि टीआरएफ जो है getting sanctioned by the US, getting designated a terror group is a sign of narrative success. So, Dilip, I know you have some concerns about the narrative, but I think that's an important point, that the father of Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, heartbreaking images there. Rajesh ji, again, thank you so many times for agreeing to speak in the middle of your pain. Let's open this up. Tehseen, to you, then Group Captain, then Sugata. You support the Congress, but you stand with the country on matters of national security. How do you think the Congress handled things today? Do you think it was smart of Rahul Gandhi to once again raise the issue of quote-unquote down jets? The Prime Minister was very, very specific about the role of America. Do you think the matter should rest there?
Barkha, thank you for having me on the show at the onset. I want to give out my condolences to Rajesh ji. Thank you for joining us on the show. This nation owes your family a debt, and thank you for being there on the show, sir. And to so much for being on the show. Barkha, there are two issues. Number one, of course, I support the opposition. I am politically against the government. But there were certain questions that the opposition is raising. Some we haven't got an answer to. Some that the Honorable Prime Minister answered very specifically. So let me go to both of them. Let me first answer what the Prime Minister said. The Prime Minister categorically said he's not had a conversation with the United States President. If he's put that on record in the Parliament, something I've been saying that the Prime Minister should say this in Parliament. If he said it, I think that the chapter ends there. We should not extend this further. Let's go to the issue of the jets being downed. It may sound a little crude, so forgive me, but let me just put it. You're fighting a nation that also an enemy nation, Pakistan, that has a professional air force, a professional armed forces is the only thing professional in that country, and it has good Chinese equipment. What did you expect them to do? To play marbles? Of course, they're going to hit us. The fact is, we lost no assets in terms of our soldiers or our air force people who they weren't martyred. Our air force achieved their targets as was told within 22 minutes. The 9 targets that we set out, the 24 missiles hit those 9 targets accurately. We achieved what we wanted to achieve. Very importantly, on the night of May 6th, May 7th, without ceding and beating. We did that. We did not suppress the enemy air defense system or destroy the enemy air defense system. And I think that's tribute to our air force. That's not, we shouldn't be questioning why we didn't do that. If we would have done that, we would not have taken the air force by surprise, the Pakistan air force. So without doing that, we've done something that's phenomenal. I think that should rest out there. Now, what I didn't get an answer to from the government of India. Number one, the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Defense Minister, and the Home Minister of India said Operation Sindoor is only paused. If it is paused and it's not over, why the hell are we playing cricket with Pakistan? It's not that the Asia Cup is an important cup in the sense that it counts with the ICC. The cup is played because India doesn't make revenue. The other cricket boards make revenue. And I'm not against Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Afghanistan making revenue, but I can't see my money going to Pakistan. So my blood boils in that. The second answer I did not get. Pahalgam was a tragedy where Indians, on the basis of religion, were killed after their pants were opened and they were asked to recite the Kalma. If that was it, why do we repeatedly have intelligence failures in our country? From Pathankot to Pulwama to Pahalgam, we've repeatedly had intelligence failures. You can't get away saying 2611 or other past failures of the previous government This government is in governance for the last 11 years. It is their responsibility and their accountability. They cannot get away by putting the blame from Nehru to Manmohan Singh ji on everybody. The third answer I did not get. Every time you ask them a question of what are the future narrative that, or how do you future deal with terrorism, they go back to Sharm el Sheikh, they go back to other agreements, the 1971-72 agreement, they go back to the Indus Treaty. Can we please know what exactly is terror? And there'll be no distinction between terror and the armed forces, and terror will be taken as an act of war. For example, if there is a lone gunman who comes inside from Pakistan and shoots people, is that an act of war? Does that then mean we can bomb Pakistan with our air force? Let's have a
Sure.
clarity on what does terror and armed forces mean. I think it's a very important question because, as the Prime Minister said, Pakistan is a nuclear country, and of course, I give him kudos that we weren't nuclearly blackmailed, but ultimately there has to be some clarity in strategy so that the people of India know what does this mean. How does this work further? I think these are important questions.
I think these are all very fair questions, and I think all can be asked without fixating on these so-called jets, because as you said, this is not a game of marbles, it's war. And the CDS had answered this by saying, how does he use the metaphor of cricket, but to say, how does it matter if you lose a few wickets if you have an innings victory? Let's bring in Group Captain and Sugata, and then I want to play a few more clips from the actual debate. Group Captain Augustine, what did you make of the debate? What were the big takeaways for you as you looked at both the Prime Minister's speech, Amit Shah's speech in the morning, and also the opposition's attack?
First of all, thank you for having me on the show, Barkha. In fact, as I was watching few leaders speak on the parliament, on the floor of the House, certain statements, some of those statements really sort of hurt me and pinched me, and thankfully they were expunged. So I don't even have the, let's say, guts to repeat what she said. So that was very, very sad. Be that as it may. But the point really is very important takeaways. First and foremost is that as nation, we haven't learned how to carry out a disciplined silence on an operation which is on pause. A. B, for people who probably do not know, in the military operations are planned, executed, at least in Indian military, unlike Pakistan, planned and executed by the men in uniform. It is not planned and executed by some political pressure or whatever. So when you plan and execute a military mission, you have an aim and you have certain objectives. And that aim is not more often than not a top secret. So are the objectives. So people like you and me, after having retired and you being, defense being your beat, we can probably make out what was the objective and therefore deduce the aim. So the aim in this case was absolutely crystal clear. Aim was to hit the terror factories. Earlier, we were restricting ourselves to POK. Even though we called it a Balakot strike, the camps were still in POK. But this was the first time we went across IB. Targets which earlier we did not target. This was the first time, probably post 71, we struck those targets. So that aim was absolutely clear. Now, coming back to Rahul's point about, why didn't you give a, free hand? A free hand is intelligence failure and free hand. Let's discuss that quickly. That is the elephant in the room, actually. Intelligence failure, even Mossad had intelligence failure. Such huge, terror attack happened on Israel. What did Israel do? What was Israel's aim? To wipe off, Hamas and Palestine completely from the face of the earth. That did it happen? It didn't happen. From the way the operation in Israel and Palestine, Israel's operation in Palestine is progressing, we are probably able to deduce the aim is to completely eradicate. I mean, I want to use that word, quote unquote, eradicate Palestine from the map. Did it happen? It did not happen. Was that our aim? No, it wasn't. So
So
once we
in a
start,
way, sorry, in a way, what you're saying is that whatever the aim was of this operation, that aim was achieved, something that the Prime Minister underscored. The second thing that you're saying is, and I think that's a very important point, that a military operation deserves and merits a certain disciplined discourse. And that discipline and that sensitivity has been lost here. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, Group Captain, just because Sugata is still waiting. I'll come back to you. You can elaborate further then. Sugata, let's bring you in.
just
What were the big...
one
Yeah,
point, quick point,
sure,
Barkha,
sure,
is
sure,
that,
sure.
yeah, Trump is, I don't want to use that word, but for want of a better word, I'm saying that he's a motor mouth everyone knows. And
Yeah,
he said that he spoke to Prime Minister. He did not. So two of his bluffs were called out. One,
yeah,
that he spoke to Prime Minister. Two, he lied that he stopped the war. Both were
yeah,
called out from the floor of the Parliament, which is very, very important. I'm sure someone is taking note. And in the
yeah.
morning, CNN will take it up
Hmm.
against him.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. The two of Trump's bluffs were called out, and as I said, Sugata, this was the first detailed official account we've had from the Prime Minister himself on what happened when the US Vice President called him, right? And this is now going to be sort of, it might trigger some counter response in America. We don't know. For you, in terms of the narrative sort of handling, I also remember, everybody should remember that this day began with an official confirmation of Operation Mahadev taking 3 terrorists who were responsible for Pahalgam. Go ahead, Sugata.
Yeah, thank you, Barkha. I'll see that a lot of narratives have been crisscrossing ever
Yeah.
since the Operation Sindoor started or post Pahalgam. See, but in today's debate, I'll just focus because everybody else has spoken on the military aspect of it. I'll just focus on one or two things that the opposition said and why I think, they should have planned their attack on the government better. See, Rahul Gandhi should not have pegged his whole thing on Trump because Trump is a kind of, quote unquote, he's a president of a country, a large country, so you can't say he's discredited. But then,
Yeah.
his statements are taken with not just buckets of salt, but with, a lot of salt, rather, a room full of salt, perhaps. So when that is the case, the opposition should not have started fact checking something which has already become an emotional kind of debate in India. See, it's about politics. That is exactly what you saw Modi do. Initially he clarified on facts.
Mhm.
He said this happened, and he dramatized his when the JD Vance thing happened. He dramatized. That was the first part. He offered facts, some of which were already stated by the External Affairs Minister Jai Shankar and the Home Minister. And then the second part of it was, slowly started bringing the Congress in and started putting them in the anti-national camp.
Yeah.
So this is about global response, or how is the globe responding. It's about India's defense, and Modi is playing not just to the world but also to a large local audience and at its base. So Congress, I think, has suffered a huge dent today because when the Prime Minister said three nations did not support us, 190 supported us, he put Congress with those three nations. And he
Yeah.
also said full stop and comma of the statements that are made by the Congress are a replica of what comes from.
So you believe that the mistake Rahul Gandhi made was A, to hang his at fire,
Yes,
based on Trump, and
yes,
secondly, I don't know how the panel feels, but he also did once again raise the issue about the Rafales, right?
right.
And I
Yeah,
and I want to play out. Sorry, Sugata. I need to play out that clip. You want to add a sentence there before I do that? Go ahead.
yeah. Basically, the other point that he should not have made, or should the Congress as a party should not have sort of put it across, was this whole thing about why did you stop the war? Why did you
Yeah.
not go ahead? No, you
Yeah.
don't make a similar argument when you speak about Gaza and Israel and Palestine. So, you're applying double standards, and morally you cannot make that statement as a Congress party with the tradition of, being non-violence and all that. So, it's philosophically wrong, theoretically wrong, strategically wrong.
Okay, let's play out what Rahul Gandhi actually said about the in quotes down jets. Rajnath Singh did actually take this question on when he said, "Why doesn't the opposition ask how many enemy jets have been downed?" I personally cannot understand this fixation with these jets, but let's see what our panel has to say. This is what Rahul Gandhi said. He actually used it to make the point that the pilots' hands were tied, and that is why the tactical errors that CDS Chauhan referred to took place. Take a look.
The government of India informed the government of Pakistan that we have no political will. We don't want to fight. We have done this. We have just done this action. Surrender. Immediate surrender in 30 minutes. Yes. Now there is a second very important thing that Rajnath Singh ji said. Maybe he didn't mean to say this. He also said that he told the Pakistanis that we are not going to hit any of your military infrastructure. Now, this is a very interesting fact because, and I want you to listen carefully to this. I said freedom of maneuver, meaning freedom to the Air Force. Now, listen to this quote very carefully. Captain Shiv Kumar, Defense Attaché, Indonesia, he says, I may not agree with him that India lost so many aircraft, but I do agree that we did lose some aircraft. And that happened only because, of the constraint given by the political leadership to not attack the military establishment and their air defense. Meaning you went into Pakistan, you attacked Pakistan, and you told our pilots, do not attack their air defense system. Anil Chauhan ji kehte hain, what was important was not the jet being down, but why they were being down. मतलब वो कह रहे हैं कि जरूरी सवाल ये है कि जेट गिरे क्यों? वो कह रहे गिरे तो ठीक है, मगर जरूरी सवाल है गिरे क्यों? और फिर उसके बाद कहते हैं what mistakes were made. The good part is we were able to understand the tactical mistake which we made, remedy, rectify, and implement after 2 days. And we flew all our jets again, targeting at long range. I want to tell CDS Anil Chauhan ji that you made no tactical mistake. The Indian Air Force made no mistake. The mistake was made by the political leadership that said you cannot attack the military infrastructure. And Anil Chauhan ji must have the guts to say this.
All right. Now, I will just add a comment of my own before I open up this very sensitive topic of discussion, that every military operation has a political framework and a political set of instructions, because our military, unlike Pakistan's, takes its cue from the larger strategy of that war, right? So in Kargil, for example, Vajpayee's instruction was you cannot cross the line of control, because at that time, there was a sense that this could result in a nuclear war. Here, India's position was, we are not escalatory. We are only going to target your terror bases. If you do not, you being Pakistan, do not hit us back, we will not target any other part of Pakistan. Pakistan hit back, we hit back. The rest, as they say, is history. Dilip, Cherian, Tehseen, Poonawalla, in that order, and then everybody else. Do you think, and Group Captain's actually an Air Force veteran, so he is really relevant on this. Why is Rahul Gandhi going on about this? What is the narrative gain? Dilip, I'll start with you.
I think that he is on the wrong narrative game as far as this is concerned. Absolutely. Where he is on the spot and hit really hard, and it hasn't been discussed yet in this session, is that he says, how can you give the levers of power to any single terrorist group to make sure that an army action is unleashed? I think, to my mind, that is the most important point that Rahul has made. It is not about it's not about jets. It's about this aspect that he needs to be watched for, because he has actually pointed out a fatal flaw in the doctrine that both the external affairs minister, the defense minister, and the prime minister and home minister have all echoed, that one more act of terror and we will go after the handlers of terror. The point being that now it is up to any fringe terror group to go and do something and trigger India onto the path of war. And I think that is the danger that Rahul has talked about understanding the concept of deterrence.
So I think I agree with you is a complex and a thoughtful point to discuss. And Tehseen also flagged it. You also flagged it, that what now will be that threshold where we will consider an act of terror an act of war, and can a fringe terror group, as Dilip just said, be able to start a war? But I want to stay on this jets issue for a moment, not because I personally relate to it. I personally think it's a completely wrong issue for the opposition to go on about. But Tehseen, and then of course group captain who actually flies these jets will come in. But from a political lens, Tehseen, you think Rahul Gandhi made a mistake?
No, so like you said, Barkha, I flagged that as what is an act of terror, that is an act of war. And another narrative that hasn't been discussed, I think the government hasn't replied, is the multi-front war that we will fight. It's not just Pakistan and China with Turkey support, as was told. But in my opinion, it will be Pakistan, China, and Bangladesh. The radicalization in Bangladesh is insane. And in my opinion, the next terror attack in India will happen from Bangladesh. So I think it's something that we should look at. But let me come to the question that you're asking. I dare tend to agree with Dilip, and I've said this in the past, I've said this to you. It does not matter what is the machines or the planes that we lost, as long as we haven't lost our assets, which is casualties of our Air Force soldiers who are serving. As long as that has not happened, we've not lost our pilots. Obviously, what machines are lost doesn't matter. There is also one last thing I want to add. I do hope that there is when we speak in parliament, it's the highest body. So you must have gravitas, because one of the MPs said, why don't we go close and throw a bomb? Modern warfare, you're going to fight from far. In fact, in this particular battle between India and Pakistan, unlike Balakot, we didn't even cross the LOC. Both the airplanes were in their area, and we showed superiority with our BrahMos and our Sukhois hitting Nurka right from inside the LOC. So why would we want to cross enemy territory? So I think some of these statements, I think, even though I'm a supporter of the opposition, like I always say, must carry gravitas and hard work. That's important.
Yeah, group captain, you're the expert on this. Go ahead, sir.
Taking a leaf from, I thank the previous speaker who said it so beautifully and put it so nicely. Thank you so much. I'll take a leaf from you and take it forward. See, Operation Security, Barkha, is not a headline game. How many jets we've lost? While the operation, supposedly still an ongoing operation, which I also feel it is an ongoing operation, because he's licking his wound and he will get back at you, make no mistake. Maybe it is tonight, we don't know. So the question itself is a liability. No serious nation broadcasts his information in near real time or gives. It does three things, Barkha. And that these three things, I would say, should be the takeaway for what I'm going to, or what I've said so far in this debate with you or discussion with you. One is, it gives away the force posture. Second, it gives away the adversary's effectiveness. And thirdly, it gives away your response capability. All three, Barkha, as a military man, is absolutely close to my heart. Even put through some kind of third degree, I may not ever say it. I may probably lose my life without talking about these 3 points. And those 3 points, we want to hand it over to Pakistan on a platter. I mean, that is a very, very big question. And secondly, it's not a cricket scoreboard, it's not a TRP match or a tally.
Yeah.
The military actions are fluid, multi-layered, classified, Barkha, for good reason.
Yeah.
And releasing such data helps only one party, and that is the enemy. And it has helped them. ARY News and many news channels of theirs are carrying these sound bites. I'm sure they're on their floor of the parliament. These aspects will be discussed. Absolutely. I have absolutely no doubt about it. Third and very, very important point, Barkha, is our soldiers and our pilots are still engaged.
Yeah.
The asking for casualty, asset, loss of numbers of troops, or something equivalent, is I have never seen it done in my entire career. This is the first time and in the military history, and this is the first time I'm hearing it, and it is demoralizing to me, even when I'm out of uniform. It is
Yeah.
dangerous and it is deeply disrespectful, Barkha, and to say the least,
Yeah.
including the statement that lady made.
Yeah,
And
that lady being Praniti Shinde, whom the Prime Minister actually referenced today without naming her, saying that the junior leaders are being put up by the Congress. Tehseen, you have a line before Sugata and Rajesh ji come in?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do have a
please.
line, and I say this
Yeah.
with a lot of love, and I say this with a lot of love and feelings for the party I vote for. You see, a lot of these kids are kids of big politicians, right? So again, I'm saying that it's everyone who speaks. You must have, if you have gravitas and hard work coming in, because this was the original nationalist party. You see, I liked how Priyanka ji spoke. She did it so well, and she was on facts. She didn't get rattled. So it does take a little bit of hard work, and rather than saying why did the Jets go front or go close by, in this, it takes away seriousness. Operation Sindoor is a very serious discussion in Parliament. For 2 months, we kept accusing the government, not why you're not doing it. I kept saying that. Now, when the government is there, it is time to have them on the mat rather than Donald Trump, McDonald's. I think it's not a funny place. I think it's a serious place. That's the way I feel. And then we feel as a supporter that can we have some more substance? Not that the BJP brought in any gravitas, right? They've also avoided the important questions that we want to know. But then this takes away from seriousness. If Donald doesn't answer, you move away McDonald's. I mean, we have to
Yeah.
have serious discussions on national security. It can't be tongue in cheek. It can't be humorous because also who it's coming from? It's coming from kids, right? Kids of politicians who are there. None of them
Okay.
have
So,
so it's important.
so you're talking about Dipinder Huda's speech there on the McDonald's vis-a-vis Trump comment, which triggered a lot of sort of laughs and memes. But as you're saying, this is serious stuff. Sugata and then Rajesh ji, and then we'll come to last comments in the end. Sugata.
Greatest asset of any politician is his ability to read the room or read the mood of the nation. See, in this particular whole Pahalgam thing or Operation Sindoor, there has been a kind of, a dominant narrative in the country where a political party should be sensitive to that kind of a narrative. And I'm
Yeah.
really aghast that the Congress party has decided to, pick on issues which are self-defeating. To even, for example, the clip that you played out in which Rahul Gandhi says that, the pilots were stopped. It is the government that stopped them. The military would have done its job. See, you are again self-defeating because we are a democratic country. You did point out that thing. We're a democratic country with civilian control of our military. No, we can't. There is a larger strategy there. There is a larger political play there, which
Yeah.
cannot be handed over to the military. And if Modi had done that, assume he had done that and allowed them to run riot, then you would have said that, oh, this is completely anti-democratic. So you're criticizing the government for the sake of criticizing, number one. And the second thing is that this should not have been a fact-checking debate for the Congress party. The Congress party, if it was intelligent, should have played a completely different emotional game. Should have gone and spoken about our defense forces or something else. It's their lookout. What it should have been. But then you cannot be fact checking something like this. You will have n number of opportunities to fact check the government. But
Yeah.
when there is an emotional narrative in play, you have to read the room, read the nation, and play it differently.
राजेश जी मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी as a father of a military man but also as a father of a young son who was killed by these terrorists, जब आप ये इस तरह की डिबेट देखते हैं, आपने कहा कि आपने देखी नहीं, which is also telling कि जो फैमिलीज हैं उनको जस्टिस चाहिए, उनको राजनीति नहीं चाहिए, मैं समझ सकती हूँ, लेकिन आज आपकी उम्मीद क्या है? ये एक क्रिकेट की बात चल रही है, जैसे आजकल ये भी बात चल रही है कि एशिया कप होने वाला है। आई थिंक वी आर ऑल एग्रीड दैट इट इज कंप्लीटली रिडिकुलस कि इंडिया पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट खेले इस सबके बीच में। अगर आप कुछ कहना चाहें इस पे राजेश जी।
मैडम क्रिकेट पे मैं कुछ नहीं कहूंगा, बट एक बात मैं जरूर कहूंगा आतंकवाद के ऊपर ही कि जो इस तरह के जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हैं, इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं, ऐसी यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं जहाँ ये चीज़ें पढ़ाई जाती हैं और जो इनको पनाह देते हैं और जो इनको फंडिंग करते हैं वो दुनिया के किसी भी हिस्से में रहे हों, किसी भी हिस्से में पनपते हों, तो उसको सीडलिंग की पोजीशन में ही उसको खत्म कर देने की का जो कर्तव्य है वो ना मात्र भारत देश का है ना अमेरिका का है। इस ग्लोब पर जितने भी कंट्री हैं और जितने भी हम नेटिव्स हैं, हम सबकी ड्यूटी, कलेक्टिव ड्यूटी बनती है कि उसको खत्म करके ही हमें चैन की सांस मिलेगी और ब्रदरहुड रहेगा, और हम सबकी ड्यूटी और हमें करनी चाहिए। ये मेरी अपील है इस ग्लोब को।
इसलिए मैं कहती हूँ कि आपकी दाद हमें देनी है कि आपका कितना क्वाइट डिग्निफाइड करेज है। मैं बहुत ही हम्बल्ड हूँ राजेश जी आपकी बातें सुनकर। मैं अंत में, मुझे माफ करिएगा क्योंकि राजनीति भी चल रही है, आज बहुत बात हुई कि शशि थरूर और मनीष तिवारी जो ग्लोबल डेलीगेशंस में गए थे टू पुट फोर्थ इंडियाज पोजीशन, उनको इस डिबेट का हिस्सा नहीं बनाया गया। मनीष ने एक महेंद्र कपूर का गाना कोट करते हुए एक ट्वीट किया, शशि थरूर ने एक बहुत शार्प रिएक्शन दिया है आफ्टर द डिबेट वाज ओवर। टेक अ लुक।
He categorically said that talk to somebody who's willing to talk. So lots of people are very anxious to talk to the press. I'm not. Thanks.
Okay, so let's talk about this in the end. I'll start with who should I start with? I'll start with Tehseen on this, and then Dilip. Shashi Tharoor, Manish Tiwari, just essay. Let's talk a little bit about this. I mean, they were not asked to speak, and Manish and Shashi have made their positions clear. What is going on here? And they were the key faces, especially Dr. Tharoor, of the India messaging on the global stage. Tehseen, I'll start with you.
I start by raising my objections. You're acting like Donald Trump on your show by pushing me into a corner, by making me speak.
Okay.
But the irony of Shashi Tharoor's bite was Shashi Tharoor, we all know for having his way with words and a vocabulary that overflows, was for once short of words or refused to speak. That's the irony of the bite. What he didn't say says a lot. But look, can I just say something? Dr. Tharoor in particular played a fabulous role, especially in the United States of America. He and Milind Deora, Dr. Tharoor used his offices at Marco Rubio, Milind Deora with J.D. Vance, and then of course J.D. Vance and the Prime Minister have a chemistry. We've heard J.D. Vance's wife, Usha Vance, speak about the Prime Minister. So the fact of the matter was we got TRF declared as the front for Lashkar-e-Toiba, and it's a matter of which it now is established that TRF was the one that carried out the Pahalgam attacks, and now the Home Minister has given the proof. I think it would have the questions of that needed to be asked, the cricket question, the question on intelligence failure, the questions of multi-front war, the questions of how do we go forward from here on, what would be our strategy, I think would have been better served and served well if these people would have asked the government, because that would have forced the government to react, simply because the government cannot now turn around and tell Shashi Tharoor that you are against India, the way they branded it with the Congress as Sugata ji was alluding to. So in my opinion, if I was running the opposition party, A, I would have taken credit for Dr. Tharoor going. B, I would have made him open the debate, because how does that give the government an escape route?
Yeah, Dilip, do you agree? Why didn't they just pick Shashi to open the debate? Because, you had two versions of the Shashi Tharoor absence. One that he declined and the other that he wasn't asked to speak. Congress sources say he wasn't asked to speak. Other sources suggest that he wasn't ready to take their party line. How do you read this?
Having spoken to Shashi just a few days ago, my sense is that the ruling party is converting him into a kind of Trojan horse move. And I think that is to Shashi's disadvantage. Shashi is too smart to fall for that thing. for that kind of gambit. And I think that, keeping him and Manish Tiwari out of the debate did not help the Congress, especially given the sterling performance of some of the other speakers. But the thesis would be that unless we allow these newer hands to come out and take center stage, when will they play the role? And why should we allow the same Gisa Pita voices to continue to dominate the Congress narrative in Parliament? So there is, ducks and drakes in this. We can't really conclude. Really, party strategies ought to play a role.
I think Tehseen wants to say something to you, and then I'll let you complete your sentence. Tehseen? Yes, Tehseen?
I get what Dilip is saying, but I think the question out here is this was too important a debate to have people who don't work hard and don't research and don't make intellectual points. I think this was a very important debate because the entire world, in a sense, would be looking to what happened in our parliament. Particularly, we knew that the prime minister would be forced to respond to the Donald Trump comment. We knew that was going to happen. Barkha, you and I have spoken about this. We knew that the prime minister would put this in the end. So I think this was too. It shouldn't have been left to novices. It should have been opened, as Dilip said, by those who understand the craft, who understand words.
Yeah, and I should say to all of you that Rahul Gandhi said this outside Parliament after the PM speech on the Trump issue. He said the Prime Minister never said clearly that Trump was lying. In his entire speech, not once did he mention China. The whole nation knows that China helped Pakistan, but the Prime Minister and Defense Minister never named China. So it's a little bit of a generic summary there. Dilip, I'll let you complete your point, then Group Captain, then Sugata, and we'll end with Rajesh ji. Dilip, please complete your point.
I think broadly what came through both with the exclusion of Shashi and Manish Tiwari and the rest of the thing is that the Congress side did not show the greatest degree of preparation and gravitas, as somebody else said, in this debate, except for Rahul and Priyanka. I think the performances were way below par for a Sindhur debate where you had the top four of the government actually firing from the hip.
Yeah, that is an interesting point as well. Group Captain, let's bring you in. Last thoughts.
Barkha, I see a young Tharoor in Tehseen. The way the way he thinks and articulates with keeping nation first. Absolutely. I mean, Tharoor did that so well. So, which is what I was putting my hands up for, to say, if I were the opposition, this was a golden opportunity for me, to not to ask for how many jets were downed, read the mood of the nation, like Sugata said, and play to the gallery, and the gallery being the people of the country, and suck in some, RW voters who are, probably sitting on the fence towards towards Congress, and this was a golden opportunity to do that. And to do that, they should have, brought in these people who represented our country from the opposition into the floor and talk about it and claim the TRF, shift onto a terror list as the, something which they achieved and the sitting government could not achieve. These are the things that were great golden opportunities that was let go. Like, Mr. Menon said, you will get umpteen opportunity to get them on the mat. This was not the issue.
On a lighter note, one of our viewers, Prasad Duvuri, says Barkha Govinda was made a hero, Mithun was in the supporting role, and Amitabh Bachchan got an item number in the film. That's my response to your question on Shashi Tharoor and Manish Tiwari, that the Amitabh Bachchan of the Congress got left out of the debate, metaphorically, of course. Sugata, I think that's something that you've been saying. It was a missed opportunity for the Congress. It failed to read the room. Sugata?
Yeah, Barkha, I mean, we have also sort of debated earlier that how it was very wrong to isolate Shashi Tharoor in this particular context. I mean, I completely agree with what Tehseen said and Group Captain said on this particular issue. If there was a rumor doing the rounds in the country that Shashi Tharoor is being victimized by the Congress, you had all the confirmation in Parliament. If there was a similar thing about Manish Tiwari, you had the confirmation in Parliament. So the other side of it, who was talking on behalf of the Congress and flippantly, facetiously, and all that? All the juniors, Shinde Jr., Huda Jr., Gogoi Jr., Gandhi Jr. So you're also sort of completely falling into the kind of, the frame that the BJP has put you into, and you are completely confirming that yes, we are a dynastic party. That kind of dynastic perpetuation is destroying Congress, and they have yet again, 11 years later, after coming to power, the BJP, and having put them in that frame, they're still confirming that every single day. So this is, besides the other big mistakes in narrative building and all of that, I think this is another very, very important thing which has gone really wrong with the Congress. So I mean, I feel sorry for them, because that's something they should have thought through.
Yeah, I'll just say in the end, we didn't talk much about it. I think Tehseen did touch upon how it makes his blood boil to see the talk of cricket being played. I think we've spoken a lot about the Congress's failure to read the room today on Operation Sindoor and for the last many months, and I agree. And I think the government will be failing to read the room if it doesn't step in to stop this cricket face-off with Pakistan, because you can't be talking about an ongoing state of war, which we are clearly in the middle of, and be playing cricket as if it was business as usual. I just wanted to say that from my side, because otherwise I do think that the Congress's focus on this down jets is totally failing to read the room of people at large. I want to end with Rajesh ji. We started with him. I want to end with him. राजेश जी, आपके लिए बहुत कठिन है आगे की जिंदगी जीना. अब आप क्या उम्मीद लेके अपने दिल में आगे बढ़ते हैं? कहां से हिम्मत आती है? बहुत से लोग जानना चाह रहे हैं.
अब मैडम, इस सवाल का जवाब देने से पहले मैं एक बात जरूर कहूंगा
जी, कि
नेशन फर्स्ट हमें रखना चाहिए. जितनी भी डिबेट हुई है, चाहे वो संसद के अंदर हो, बाहर हो, मैं हूं, आप हैं
जी,
और आतंकवाद जैसे मुद्दे पर और हमारी सुरक्षा पर कोई राजनीति नहीं होनी चाहिए, और हम सबको एकजुट होकर एक मंच पर उसके प्रति हमारा कर्तव्य बनता है कि उसके अगेंस्ट हम एक्शन ले. अब आपके सवाल का मैं जवाब दूंगा. हिम्मत की बात, हिम्मत मैडम, जो हालात होते हैं ना, उसमें व्यक्ति को ये है कि उम्मीद नहीं छोड़नी चाहिए और जीने का जज्बा हमेशा रखना चाहिए, तभी हिम्मत आएगी. अब ऐसे ही बात हो रही थी तो एक बुजुर्ग थे हमारे रिलेटिव, मैंने कहा भाई मामा लगते हैं कि मामा जी अब कैसे जिएंगे. तो उसने मुझे एक जवाब दिया इस बात का कि बोला, बेटा शायद भगवान को आप इतने सशक्त और मजबूत लगे होंगे तब इतना आपको दुख दिया है, हिम्मत भी वही देगा. तो भगवान पे भरोसा है मैडम, हिम्मत आएगी, परिवार को साथ में लेके चलेंगे, आगे बढ़ेंगे.
क्या कह सकते हैं जो आप एक तरह से इतनी भारी लॉस, इतनी भारी ट्रेजेडी के बाद राजेश जी, भगवान से आपको जो हिम्मत मिलती है, पर आपके अंदर से भी वो एक स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ कैरेक्टर जो है दैट रियली shines through, and I can only on behalf of all of us offer our tributes and our commiserations. आपके साथ जो बीता, आपके बेटे के साथ जो बीता, सारी families के साथ. I know I speak for everybody in this panel when we salute you, Rajesh Narwal, father of Lieutenant Vinay Narwal. There's his new bride Himanshi saluting as his last rites. And his coffin comes home and his last rites are performed. We salute you, sir. Thanking Rajesh Narwal, to Dilip Cherian, to Tehseen Poonawalla, to Group Captain Dr. M.J. Augustine, and to Sugata Srinivasraju. Thank you. Namaskar. Take care. Thank you. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.